Okay, so after the RabbitMQ, the next thing is the plugin config. So this one also I mentioned that I inject the configuration files and so on and so forth, right? So the plugin config is a good example of this thing. Let me see. Do I have this guy somewhere? Yes. So if you see, actually, for example, this one is a very good example of how I inject a configuration file rather than using the environmental variables. So if you see, for example, this plugin service needs something called plugin configuration. So the way that I design it, rather than using an environmental variable and make that guy chill, so you have a different configuration. Actually, this one is very good, because the thing that it is that, for example, if for example you have a plugin service or something like that in the future, all of them they have to use the same configuration if you use the environmental variable. But when you are injecting the configuration file, you can have two plugin service that, for example, one of them use configuration one, another one use configuration two. You can do these kind of things with a dependency injection. So just something more fancy. And the way that I do this is, you see that, for example, I have, for example, something like a plugin config. So this one also is very useful with the factory pattern. So with the factory pattern also, for example, you can do fancy stuff like it. So for example, you see that, for example, you have, for example, this plugin service. After that, this plugin service, it has a plugin configuration. In the assembly of there, what we're doing is that we just do a binding to this configuration. It means that every time this guy, he need this plugin service he wants, okay, he is created by the Inversify, the plugin config will be injected to him. This is a very cool pattern. Okay, I really love this pattern. So this one, regarding this one, so this one I make it a separate video. So this one also, I think it worth to be separate.